So, Juck over.
We cannot allow everything to be stripped away from us because they change the formats around us, the traditions, the stadiums, the uniforms, the rivalries. If we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. And welcome into Juck on Bucks. Appreciate you so much for joining me for the second time today. We did about an hour-long live earlier today. We're back at it as we got some news, some breaking news. Ryan Day continues to round out the new staff for 2025, replacing guys who have left. And we got a new hire, another support staffer, another analyst. And now that analysts can coach, these are big-time positions. This is bringing in another assistant coach. Now, he really knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, in his last two hires when he hires Tyler Bowen as the offensive line coach and then brings in Marcus Johnson, who was the offensive line coach at Purdue last year, and Charlie Dickey, who was the offensive line coach at Oklahoma State last year. And whenever you can get a guy who, he's a position coach to come be an analyst at your program, that's a pretty big deal. Now, Larry Johnson lost his right-hand man at the end of the season, Alan Clark, an awesome dude that everybody in Columbus loved, and he gets an upgrade to go coach the outside linebackers at Texas. So good for him. What are we going to do at Ohio State? Well, you're going to go out and get UCLA's outside linebackers coach, as Ryan Day has hired Tony Washington Jr. from UCLA to be Larry's right-hand man. So Tony Washington Jr. is a guy who was a stud linebacker at Oregon. He played from 2010 to 2014. He was one of the guys that were on that losing team to Ohio State in the national championship. I remember him well. He was a really good player, 6'4", like 240. He ends up going to a cup of coffee on a couple of practice squads in the NFL. Doesn't make it. I think he signed on with the Texans and the Titans practice squads. And then after that, he gets into coaching. So he starts off at Nebraska at 2019 and 2020. And then in 2021, heads back to Oregon and gets the position of director of player development in 2021. In 2022, he gets bumped up to the assistant defensive line coach. And then in 2023, he gets the outside linebackers all to himself. So 2024, he goes outside linebackers at UCLA. Pass rush guy. This is a guy who's going to be working with the Ohio State outside linebackers, the Ohio State defensive ends, and I think that this is a really interesting hire. This is the guy who's going to be working with CJ Hicks in his transition, either down to edge or however it is they want to deploy him. He is going to be working with Epi Satanile, the freshman defensive end edge who was committed to UCLA. He actually got his commitment to UCLA, so a good relationship with him already. But does this give us any indication as to what direction we're going to see the defense play next year? I think it does. We got Matt Patricia, who can do anything. He has done everything. And we listened to Ryan Day talk the whole second half last year about getting more multiple on the defensive front. And now you bring in a guy like Tony Washington Jr., who worked with outside linebackers and defensive ends. And this is maybe some indication as to what direction we're going here. I think we're going to see a lot more multiple fronts next year. I think it's going to be a much more exciting defense. I love it. This is an edge dude. And when we look at his past recruiting, obviously, as I said, he got Epi. Previous to that, we've just got a couple that have been accredited to him at UCLA. We don't have anything at Oregon yet, so we don't know what kind of recruiter he is. But
what's the transition like been for you? Being a Southern California native, coming back to the area and joining this coaching staff.
Yeah, it's been amazing, honestly. Around a lot of great coaches, no ego. So I just really feel like we're able to go in there. We're able to work, trying to find a way to get better. That's probably like the most impressive thing I've noticed about being on the staff is just how hungry everybody is and how willing they are to help and assist. I think we got a good mix of veteran and younger coaches. So all these ideas that we're bringing to the table and kind of making sure they mesh well has been great. So I've been enjoying it, man. It's great to be back here in SoCal. This is the school I rooted for coming up. So I take a lot of pride in it. I feel like I owe it to the guys that wore this logo and this jersey, prior to me. So I'm gonna keep pushing that direction.
Like the sound of that guy. A young dude, sounds very mature. Got him to leave UCLA, a place that he was obviously very fond of and rooted for growing up in Los Angeles. Now, Ohio State needs edges, and we have talked about the defensive line recruiting and how it's dropped off. There's no denying it. You can look at how the defensive line performed last year and say, what are we talking about? The defensive line was great. Yes, they were. They were great, led by 2 5-star top 10 overall players in the country, Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. Absolutely, they were great. Why do we pay attention to recruiting? Because that's what tells us what's coming down the pipe, and you're always looking at what's next on your roster. You don't wait till it drops off on the field and then say, hey, this sucks. Let's take action. You keep looking ahead, and what's coming up the pipe has not been, it's not as good as what it was with Larry Johnson before. It's not the standard that he has set at Ohio State, not anywhere near as good as Georgia or Bama or Texas. So it needs to pick up. And can Tony Washington be the guy that breathes some fire into it? As it stands right now, when we look at edge rushers in 2026, the class is 26, you're only in on one of the top 10, and he's number 10. Carter Meadows. You were kind of in on Zion Ellie for a spell there, but he's since committed to Maryland, and that's really it. You used to be in on the Colin Simmonsons and Dylan Stewarts, the guys right up at the top, the freaks. It's been a while now. Been a while since we landed a freaky defensive end like that. Zion Ellie, Ziggy Grady and Epi Satanile, really solid prospects, but they're not those kind of guys. It would be nice to get back in on some of those kind of guys. When we look at the safety room, we talked about the safeties the other day. Matt Guerrieri's in on like 4 of the top 10 safeties, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then a couple of athletes that are going to play safety that are, top 5 athletes in the country. So, we'd like to see that pick up. Can that help with bringing in Tony Washington, a young guy full of energy, trying to make his name, clearly trying to climb up the ladder? I definitely think it can help. So I love the hire. I think it's another really thoughtful one. Again, you got another guy to drop down, technically drop down in position. He was an outside linebackers coach, drops down to an analyst, but he comes to Ohio State. So trying to build his resume, trying to make a career out of it, and doing very well so far as he goes from Nebraska to Oregon, gets his own room in 3 years at Oregon, then UCLA, now at Ohio State, and just about 6 years of coaching. So kudos to him. I really like it. I think it's a very good one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please do like the video. And if you haven't subscribed to Juck on Bucks, let's make it official, you and I. Hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Juck on Bucks out. I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championship. Something stupid is coming out of his mouth. I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name. Let's talk about something good about Justin Frye. What are you doing? Season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football. This guy is a bonehead. They love him. I question your judgment as an adult. I really do. I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it. Get us back our sleeves and say, bring me that. That's the one I want.